I always have my window open at night because of California heat. And one night, at around 2 a.m., a sketchy, white car parked in front of my house. No one got out. No one got in. And it left about an hour later. Nothing happened, but the fact that I've seen it around the neighborhood multiple times, and I know they don't live here or anything, because my town/neighborhood is very small, freaks me out a lot. The windows are tinted very darkly, and I know it's the same car because of the license plate, so I never really could see who was inside. Still freaks me out a bit when I see it around. I once was awake at 4 a.m. playing games with my friends. Then I heard a tap at my window. My bedroom is upstairs, so I was freaked out to look, but I did anyway. Saw nobody at my window, so I opened it to get a better view. I still couldn't see anyone. I went back to my game when something landed on my bed next to me. It was a rock. I looked and realized I forgot to close my window. I jumped up and shut it before looking out for whoever it was. I saw someone bolt. I assume he was trying to break in and was checking if people were awake in the house. I've had many years of third shift jobs, which I always wind up in out of desperation, then remember why. I had a guy in a Dodge Charger follow me from the west side of Indy to the area I lived in on the south side. There was about 10 minutes. I thought it was a cop pacing me to pull me over for speeding. Fair enough, it was an empty interstate at 5 a.m. I was going a bit fast. But it lasted to my exit, then almost to my neighborhood. I ended up taking multiple turns and did not go home. The cops that normally hung out at the DD connected to a nearby gas station weren't there that day. Why? I don't know. Eventually, he sped off. I work third shift grocery and retail currency. We aren't allowing shoppers overnights currently, but before the pandemic, we'd routinely have shoplifters and people whacked out on drugs, alcohol, or fucked up because they were off their meds come in. We usually call the cops once or twice per Friday or Saturday night. This ranges from angry yelling, destruction, threats, and people sticking items in their snatches. It has happened twice. At one point in time, I also did a newspaper ad stuffing side gig. I'd get out at the same time as the bars. If I stopped to grab something from the gas station on the way home, there would always be some drunk dude in the parking lot, yelling insults at another drunk. Another point, I watched a cop bust a man pissing behind a building. 2 women in a hair-pulling fight. An old man is getting angry about the lack of hot dogs. Weird. A couple of years ago, I lived in another town. We had a German Shepherd dog called Smiley. He was a big, relatively scary dog. He was laying outside on our porch. I was laying on the couch watching TV. This happened about around 1 or 2 a.m. But it's quiet with the exception of the TV when all of a sudden I hear Smiley start barking. I just thought it was a cat or something. Well, he stopped barking when I heard something climb onto the porch. It hissed, and swear to God, our scary tough German Shepherd starts crying. Or the dog equivalent. Safe to say, I was scared shitless. We live nowhere near any wildlife or anything with the potential to scare a dog like ours. So that's out of the equation. I heard it that one night, though, and I rarely slept in our living room or next to my bedroom window for as long as we lived there. It was around 11 p.m. and my friends wanted to FaceTime since I hadn't been in school for a few days. Since I share a room with my sister and she was asleep, I decided to go downstairs as to not wake her. I was in our living room and had probably been down there for about 30 minutes when I started to hear scratching from the front door, and my Alexa started responding to random things that I wasn't even saying, setting alarms when I hadn't mentioned times or anything, Googling things that I hadn't mentioned. I turned off the Alexa and checked the front door was locked. I stayed on the call with my friends until about 12:30 a.m. and then went back upstairs. To get back upstairs, I had to walk past the kitchen, which always gives me the creeps, and I glanced in and swear I could have seen a black figure standing by the shelves in the corner. I thought maybe it was nothing, and I was just seeing things because I was tired and paranoid from earlier, but still hurried upstairs anyway. I got back upstairs and was surprised to see what I assumed was my sister sitting up in her bed in the dark. I kept the light off as I presumed my sister was still half asleep, and it wouldn't be fair to wake her up completely. I talked to her and was confused that she just sat there, unresponsive, but reasoned she might have earplugs in. The whole time I was changing into pajamas, she sat, a dark figure, on her bed. I climbed into my bed, and as I did so, my sister walked through our bedroom door. I freaked out completely. For the past 10 to 15 minutes, something had been on our bed. A dark sort of figure / mass had just sat there whilst I got changed and got ready for bed. My sister called me delusional. Said I imagined things due to drowsiness, but I know that wasn't the case. I still freaked out when I see shadows on her side of the room when she's not there. I can't help but think maybe the scratching and the Alexa and the shadow downstairs are all sort of connected. It hasn't happened since though, so I really don't know what to think. I was going to bed at around 2 to 3 a.m. at my nan's, my grandma's house, in Spain. And as I was about to go to bed, I heard someone walking up the stairs. I figured it was my nan. I got in bed and began to watch YouTube. My bedroom door creaked open. I could see a silhouette of a person in the darkness. I just decided to shut my door and go to sleep, thinking it was the dark getting to me. I woke up a few hours later to a young boy at the end of my bed. He ran off as I screamed my head off. I never found out who or what it was. But my nan is a very spiritual person and quote unquote talks to dead people. So she told me it was a good spirit and not to worry. I still struggled to sleep for the rest of the visit. TLDR, I saw a ghost when I was visiting my grandparents. Going to bed late one night, around 3 a.m., I go to shut off the light over the sink in the kitchen. The sink sits under a window that looks out into my backyard and into a wooded area beyond the fence. I see 2 small red lights hovering just beyond the fence, directly in my line of sight. I'm instantly creeped the hell out. Our kitchen has been remodeled recently. In the new way the electronics are positioned in the kitchen / dining room area, the lights on them will oftentimes reflect on the glass of the kitchen window. When I go to turn off that light, but the lights on the TV and the router and other miscellaneous things are green or white, not red. I consciously knew that, but I still tried to explain it away. Then they proceeded to disappear, after a couple of minutes of trying to figure out what they were. Fast forward to about 5 weeks, deep in the throes of quarantine, my husband points out a drone in our backyard, just beyond the fence in the woods. It has 2 red lights on it. Motherfucker. And it turns out he saw the lights months before I did, around 5 a.m. one morning, on his way to work. He also thought it was a reflection of the TV. I didn't confront the person controlling the drone, because I didn't make the connection until after they were gone. But I think about how uncomfortable it made me feel. How watched I felt. There's a hike and bike trail directly behind the fence that is very popular, so I figured it was kids messing around. But at 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., no thanks. And if I see those damn drone again, that damn drone again, I'm coming after it with a bat.